Okay, thanks everybody for joining. My name's Godfrey Nolan. We are going to look at a piece of functionality that came out with GPT4o for Omni, which is called Canvas, which is the code generation part of it. So it's kind of think GitHub Copilot, but it's kind of a bit funky. And what I wanted to do was I'm going to do a horoscope app, a Zodiac app. A couple of different reasons. One, I think that DallE does amazing Pisces and Aries and star sign pictures, so I wanted to kind of like showcase that. So I'm an engineer, I'm not a designer, so I don't have to worry about it because it gives me such amazing pictures for the different star signs. So that's one thing. And then of course, if you know me, my dad was really into this. I have no time for horoscopes at all, but my dad was. So this is kind of a bit of my honor of my dad too as well. So because he would never shut up about it, so I kind of picked it up by osmosis. Okay, so usually I talk about a little bit of news beforehand, before we get into the actual meat of it. So the news this month was there's two big things that I think happened. One smaller thing, which I mentioned as well. So the OpenAI's real-time API. So if you go into the playground on OpenAI, and then you can, instead of just chatting to it, you can now talk to OpenAI. Which is cool, and you can also talk to it in different languages. So a few months ago, we did a role-playing language learning app, which we were just using Whisper for, but that's already built in now. So if you want to sign up for the playground, which is not the same as the ChatGPT interface, it's a different price, it's a different pricing model. It's usually cheaper. So if you want to take a look at that, I really recommend it. But one caveat, for the moment, the real-time API is really expensive. So if you have a conversation, it's probably going to cost you about $3 or $4, like a real conversation in a foreign language. The tokens mount up super fast. So fair warning there. The other thing that I thought was really cool this past month was Anthropic brought out this thing called computer use. So basically what that is it's like a RPA, which is that robotic assistants that you see all over the place, like UiPath. So you can put here a little thing. The example that I saw was, find me an F-150 in Southeast Michigan, and it goes out and basically screen scrapes different websites for you, and then goes to cars.com or whatever else it can find. It gives you a whole bunch of different things. And that's cool, but it will also, if you ask it in the next prompt to do things like, hey, save it to the Excel spreadsheet, it'll save it to the Excel spreadsheet. And then you can say things like, hey, can you email it to me? And it'll do stuff like that too as well. So super cool. Both of those are really good. There's a smaller one that came out, which I liked. I use GitHub Copilot a lot, which I've used probably for the past 6 months now. It saved my bacon quite a lot. And I also use Claude for LangChain programming. And the latest version of GitHub Copilot will also work with Claude now. So if you have I don't even think you need an account with Claude. You can basically just use it, and then if you run out of tokens, you can go back to using GPT-4. But it's very good at different languages. And if you're interested in writing any of the RAG stuff or the LangChain stuff that we showed either last month or the month before, you can now do it inside VS Code with GitHub Copilot, which I think is super cool. Okay. So here's what we're going to do today. So we're going to have I was going to say 1990s, but of course Android wasn't out there. So Android, what did that come out to? So we're thinking about 2012, 2013, off the top of my head. Don't quote me on that. So the first apps that used to come out they would have this kind of format. So we have a login screen, we'd have a list screen, and then we would have a detail screen. So what I'm going to do is just walk through how we're going to create the login screen, and we're going to create a list screen. And then on the final screen, we're going to have some details about what the different star signs are, but we're also going to have this daily horoscope. So going to aim to build a little backend REST API server, and that's basically going to serve up a daily horoscope. So I'm going to ask OpenAI to just give me a daily horoscope for whatever the star sign is. There was a really cool server in the past where the Onion came out, which was mean daily horoscopes, and maybe at some stage I'll try to resurrect that, but I'm not going to do that tonight because there's too much going on. Okay, so what do we have? We have the features are we have a login screen. That's I'm not really going to do the OAuth or anything else, but there's no reason why you couldn't if you want to take this a bit further. And the code is all on the resources. We're going to have a sign selection. So click on the Zodiac sign to get to whichever one of your signs you're looking for. We're going to have some information about what the Zodiac is, what the dates are, what the characteristics are, that kind of thing. And of course, I think what's really cool is the different images. You can see them here. They're it's almost like DallE was built for this. It's a lot of times people complain about DallE because it looks like a DallE picture, but certainly for star signs, it's amazing. And they're always different too as well. So there's no reason why you couldn't kind of instead of getting daily horoscope, you could get a daily star sign. Maybe that would be a good way if you wanted to turn this into a real app. So here's the steps that we got to do. So we have to create our login screen. We have to create a list screen. I'm going to generate the images. I'm going to do this. I'm going to walk through this. So fingers crossed the demo gods are with me today. We're going to start on the detail screen, and then I'm going to do my REST API backend so that we can generate the horoscope. What's Ahmed? You've got a question. What is your question?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just wondering. Did you mention you're not going to write any code at all? You're just going to let.
I'm going to generate code from using Canvas, and I'm really going to do my best not to write any code.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so that's what the goal is. I don't know how realistic that is, but I've done it 3 or 4 times, so should be okay. We'll see. Okay, so then the REST API backend. There's a reason why you could actually call OpenAI via the API directly from an Android app. There's no reason why you couldn't, but I wanted to use a backend because I'm really worried about the keys. So I think, although there are fairly secure ways of storing it in Android now, sooner or later somebody's going to bust them. So I don't want to put my key in there. So I would much prefer. Best practices, in my opinion, is if you have a key that you want to hide, put it on a backend and hide it behind a server. And then we're going to have our daily horoscope, and we're going to serve that up with the REST API. Okay. So what's the first thing I'm going to do? So I have a list of things I'm going to do. So this is what Canvas looks like. I'm going to start going in here now. Okay, let's start going. So this is the finished one. Yeah, let me show you what it looks like so you can see that it actually works. This is just running with the emulator. We have 3 different activities with the main activity, which is our login. We have our list and we have our detail. We have a bunch of different layouts that we're going to have. The other thing that we're doing as well is we are really going for the most basic Android app that you could possibly have. And then it's going to take a couple of seconds to load the horoscope.
Godfrey, is that IntelliJ?
This is Android Studio. Okay. All right. So unable to resolve host. I don't know why that's happening. Maybe what I need to do is go. I'll get there. We'll go to glitch in a second, and maybe it's asleep or something, even though it shouldn't be because I paid for the real one. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say new project. I am going to say don't go with any of the compose stuff. I don't want to do any compose. I don't even want to do recycler view. I'm going to go list view. So I'm going as simple as possible. And I'm using the KISS moniker, but I'm kind of changing it around because I'm trying to keep it simple, stupid. That's really what I'm trying to do, is to keep this stuff just as basic as possible so that I don't have to do it. So this is, let's call it Zodiac again. This is the 4th time I've done it. I am not going to go with the latest, greatest of anything. So API 24 is okay. Android 7, that's pretty old now. So we can deal with that. I'm going to go with the older version of the build.gradle files. And then we're just going to start this. So let me kill this so my computer doesn't die. Okay, so it's syncing at the moment. That's probably going to take a few seconds. So let me just go to open ChatGPT and start this ball rolling. Okay, so I go to ChatGPT. You do need the real account. You know, you need the whatever, the $20, whatever it is. And then here you can see that there's ChatGPT4 and ChatGPT4o with Canvas. I'm assuming that everybody who pays for the ChatGPT account gets Canvas. I don't know if that's 100% true, but certainly I think in the US it definitely is. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to say generate an Android layout file, a main activity kt.kt Kotlin file. Spelled that wrong. Oops. It doesn't really matter. That's one of the cool things about ChatGPT. It's very forgiving on spelling mistakes, which is really cool. Okay, so this is what it starts off with. And if we click on this, oh, it does it anyway. It's going to go into our canvas mode. So this is the canvas mode. Canvas is kind of weird. So first of all, I asked it for 2 files. It only gave me 1. And we'll be dealing with a lot of files. And it kind of gets a bit confused about the different files. But it's OK. We'll get through it. So what do we have here? We have a username. We have a password. And we have a login. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to go over here. And my syncing has worked now, which is great. So it's just an Android app, the normal one. So you have your activities in your Kotlin and Java folder. We have my resources here. We have my layout here. And then if you want to get to the code, you just click on this. And let's get rid of this and replace it. So I have my layout built now. Let me go back to this, and I am going to say, where is my main activity? Is that where it is? Yes. Okay. So now that's the code. One thing that we do have to watch out for is it has no idea, of course, what your package name is. So if you copy it, just make sure that you don't mess up any package names. Back here. Sometimes it gets confused on the activity.main, but it seems to be okay. Seems to be okay. So let's see if we can run this. It's got basically a username, a password, a login button. It knows what the layouts are, so that's great. And then it's just got a little toast that says login successful. And then I got to enter a username and password. So let's just make sure that we can get that going. Okay, so then the next thing that I want to do after this is I'm going to start on the list activity. See if we're building it. Oh, that's not good. That is not good. So it's asking me that I need to have, okay, so now I do have to write some code. So, all right, of course it's going to happen when I do it this way. So I have to update this. Hopefully that will work. So basically what I've done now is it's, for whatever reason, this afternoon this worked great. Of course it would. And now what I'm trying to do in the evening, it now says that I have to have platform 35, even though I didn't upgrade anything. Oh no, it did upgrade something, didn't it? I'm using the previous version. Okay, so fingers crossed this worked now. Roll with the drums, please. Don't know if we've got past it. Okay, well, yeah, looks like we got past it. I'm going to give myself a heart attack. Okay, so then we have our username, we have our password. And then if we get login, it's just going to give us a little toast. Okay, login successful. Okay, whoosh. All right, so what's the next thing that we're going to do? So if we look to see what our steps were, our next step would be the list screen. So we're going to see if we can do the list screen. I'm not going to put the images in this one. but I will put them in the final one. But I just want to ask it to do a list screen. So in my list of things, I'm going to say generate a Kotlin activity called Zodiac list activity.kt, which is a list of signs of the zodiac in a table, and also generate the layout file activity zodiac list.xml. Make it list view, not a recycler. So first thing I want to do, because some of the stuff that happens in the background with Android, I don't want to go through that. So I want to create the activity through Android Studio. So it basically puts the edits in the Android manifest, because like I said, I'm trying not to do anything. Okay, so I am going to call this. Okay, that should be fine. So now I have my second activity. Let's do a Gradle sync. So in the meantime, I am going to go back to my ChatGPT canvas window, and I am going to say, generate Kotlin activity. So my list activity, and I want to get the activity zodiac list. Recycler views are kind of the standard way that you would do things in, sorry, somebody's got a question. You're a participant. Sorry, Mike, tell me what I'm doing here.
Oh, that was just a little side message to Michael. Nothing.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, no worries. So the recycler view is kind of the standard way of doing things in Android, has been for many a year, but list view was around beforehand. And like I said, keep it stupid simple. I am going to go for by far the easiest way of doing these things. I've only got 12 signs, so it's never going to change. So I think a list view is probably okay for this specific use case. If you've got something that's got lots of items, you would go back to recycler view, but I don't want to, so I'm just going to go for the really simple way of doing this. And I still don't feel like I'm cheating too much. Okay, so let's go back here. It's also because recycler view just has more files, and I don't want to deal with it. Okay, now I have my list view, so I got to go back and copy that too as well. So it's very nice. It's done that for me. Always copy over here. Go back to here. So if you are not used to Android Studio, the way that you get into the layout is that you basically, they have these three buttons here. This is the one for the design view. This is the one for the code. You want to go for the one for the code, so you can just access the code directly. And then the other thing as well is if you were writing an Android app these days, and if you're writing from scratch, you would use Compose. You would not use the old XML layouts, but like I said, we're keeping it stupid simple. And I fundamentally believe that this is going to change a lot of what happens in coding. People are really very particular about how their coding style is, but if you're not writing the code, I don't see how you can be very particular about it. It's just a case of, if it doesn't work, you just throw away and go get some more. Okay, so where are we now? Let me go back to my presentation. Oh yeah, I have to find a way of getting from main activity to Zodiac list activity. So my main activity at the moment, all it does is it has a little toast button, and I want to get it to go to my my list of star signs. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to do that. So show me the code to get a button on the main activity. So back we go to our canvas. Show me some code to get a button on main activity.kt to send a user to the Zodiac list activity.kt screen. And in the past, it did use binding, so I'm going to ask it not to use binding. So it's going to update the main activity file for us. So it has, what has it done? Okay, so this is basically what I need down here. I need my, it's created a new button. I don't want it to create a new button.
Hey, Godfrey, can I ask a question?
Yep.
Why use ChatGPT with Canvas to for the code versus just using ChatGPT?
Because when you do it with ChatGPT, you're basically what you have is you have two panes. You have this pane here, and then you have this this other pane here. Whereas with ChatGPT, all you get is one pane, and sometimes it's really difficult to see what's going on, especially when you're having a really long conversation, which we're going to have today, which is all the different stuff that we need to do. But because it's showing me where the code is, and technically I can get from one file to the other with this, you know, I want to have just the ability to have the two panes to see stuff with.
All right. Yeah, I was unfamiliar with Canvas, so that's the other pane where if you're outputting stuff, it gives you that big pane or that big panel for you to see.
Yeah, you can always cut and paste, but I kind of like the way that I don't have to do that. I can just, you know, copy the stuff in here. Okay, so now what it's going to do is I have my button login. It's going to do the intent. That's another thing that I think is crucially important if you're doing this, because I try to do it in Swift, and I'm much better on Android than I am on Swift. It's been a while since I wrote any Swift code. You kind of need to know what's going on. So this is the thing that I've been saying for a few months now, that we still need to know how to program, but we're more plumbers now than we are developers, or we will be at some stage. So if you don't know what an intent is basically you're kicking one activity to the next activity, then it's going to be hard for you to be able to do this type of coding. Okay, so let me go back to my main activity. It's going to insist that I type something now, which is fine, but just take a little bit longer. Get rid of this. Okay. So now what we have is we should have, if everything works correctly, we're going to have our login screen, and then we're going to have our little list screen. So we have two of the screens working so far. Interesting.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one before. I wonder if that's because I'm sharing the screen. What did my build tell me? Okay, well, the worst comes to the worst, I can always connect my phone in a second. Looks like it might have restarted, do you think? Okay. It's still starting up. Okay. Well, for the moment, just take my word for it that we actually have the two connected, because I'm pretty sure they are at this stage. So then the next thing what I need to do is I need to generate the images. So I'm going to go back to ChatGPT proper for this. Well, that's warming up. Okay. And what am I going to ask it? I am going to say, sometimes you have to kick this to get it to work properly, because it kind of decides to give you just a kind of a them all bundled together. So I want to generate an individual image for each of the 12 signs in the Zodiac. I just want to make sure before I go back and check my Android Studio that it's going to generate more than one rather than just the 12 in one image. That's what I did again. Okay. Okay, is version 4.0 the latest version? No, there are more versions. So 01 preview and 01 mini, but it looks like GPT4 Omni is the one that generates the only one, the latest one that will generate images.
was gonna ask if you can use that as the sprite, little CSS graphic technique.
So, Andrew, what was your question?
Oh, I was just making a little joke about using that as a sprite.
Okay.
I was really going for the joke.
Well, that's cool. I think that looks amazing. I think that's absolutely coolest picture. But they don't. Okay, now give me the other 11. The other thing that's cool as well is that they're. I'm glad I prepared some earlier. Oh, well, I'll proceed with the other sign. So off it goes. So it's going to go and do the different images. That's great. Always different. So yeah, maybe what I would do if I was going to sell this is I would do different versions every day. Maybe just give you a different image. Yep. Okay. So then we have our list screen. Don't know what on earth was happening. I think I should have gone for my bigger machine today. But anyway, so what we have so far is we have our login screen, we have our list screen, and now we need to go to the detailed screen. So the detailed screen is you're going to click on Aries. It's going to give you all the information on Aries. See if there's anything else. Let's go back to the presentation just to make sure I didn't forget anything. So we've got a list screen, generated the images. Yeah, so then I need to create a assets folder because what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me a JSON file with all of the information for each of the different star signs. It's going to ask it for name, date, month, characteristics, that sort of stuff. I'm going to put it in a JSON file in the assets folder. And then we'll go on with the detailed screen. So back to ChatGPT. It does not want to do them. Okay, it does eventually. So, and I've already saved them, so it's not like I need to follow that much longer. But just so you know that it's going to be like that. Okay, so I'm going to ask it to, we can do it in Canvas while the rest of the stuff's going. Generate a JSON file called Zodiac Signs.json, which is the name of the star sign, the month of the star sign, and the description of what type of characteristics someone with the star sign would have. Right, pretty good. I'm biased for Pisces, of course, but hey, we all have our favorites. All right, so then we go into, I want to create an assets folder. I don't know the best way to create an assets folder, but I know the one that seems to work for me always. So I change it to the project view instead of being in the Android view, and then I get to choose my assets folder. So then within this, what I need to do is just create a file, and that's going to be called underscore. I'm going to paste what I had there before. Okay, so now we got that going. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to update the Zodiac list activity to read the name of the star signs from the Zodiac signs.json because they're hard-coded in there at the moment. So the idea is that you would, you could put this in a SQLite database or something else. Okay, so let's go back to the Android view. Don't really have to. And then in Zodiac list activity, you can see it's like this. So we want to make sure that it's pulling from the JSON because we're going to ask it to pull the pictures too as well. Update the Zodiac list activity to read the names of the star signs from Zodiac underscore JSON. Okay, let's copy this again. Go back to our worried about that package again. Okay, let's get rid of that. Gotta get rid of the Zodiac list. If all goes well, that should be good. Okay. All right, so now I'm pretty happy what's going on with my first two screens. Now I need to get onto the Zodiac detail activity. So that is going to be generate an Android activity, Zodiac detail activity in Kotlin, and a corresponding XML layout that will display the information from the JSON file above for single star sign. So the first thing I need to do, like I said before, is, well, first of all, I'll make sure this is working. Yep, it's working. I'll go here, say new activity, empty activity. I'm going to call this Zodiac detail activity. It's got its layout file, cool. Nothing yet. Let's go back to our canvas and ask her the question. Oops, no, I don't know what to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to get it to the Zodiac detail to start looking at the JSON file. So it already knows what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it the whatever the star sign is. So it's going to take, we're going to put something on the intent, which is the Zodiac name, which is Aries, Taurus, whatever. And then it's going to look at the assets. It's going to open the assets folder, and it's basically going to display the information based on whatever we did. Okay, so Zodiac detail activity. So I have two files I need to copy. Need to do this one first, and then I need to get the layout file. Okay, so this is my layout file. Let's go back to so the moment we have name, month, description. Let's see what the code is. Let's get that out of the way. Again, it's linear layout, the easiest layout that you could possibly have. But for our purposes, I think it's fine. And now we need to update the Zodiac list activity so that when you click on the star sign, it fires the Zodiac detail activity and passes the name of the star sign as Zodiac name. Okay, go back to our canvas. Here we go. Right, so it's reading all the Zodiac signs, and then it's got a listener in the list view, and the listener passes the Zodiac name. So this, if this works, we should have the connection from our login screen to our list screen, and now to our detailed screen. We're starting to get there. Let's get rid of this. I don't need this right now. Get rid of the imports. And then just paste the rest of the stuff that we had. Yeah, and get rid of the package name. Okay, now I'm going to go Taurus for a change. Okay, cool. All right, so now what's missing is we're missing an image at the top, and we're also missing our daily horoscope. So the image is relatively easy to do, and then we have to do the REST API for the rest of the stuff. So the first thing that I want to do is update the Zodiac signs JSON so that it has a field for an image for each sign, which will be Aries, Taurus, etc. So I'm going to get a new JSON file, which is kind of our database. Copy that into my JSON, and then I'm going to copy the images across. Okay. It's my assets folder. All right, so let's have a look at the images. Where are my images? So if the images where I get them is, it's on ChatGPT. So what you basically do, let's go have a look at them real quick because they are a thing of beauty. Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Yep. Kind of sort of the same as what they were earlier on today. Pisces is better. So if you download this, it's going to download it, but it's going to be a big, huge, long thing. So basically what you need to do is for each of the different images, you can see I've done this a few times. You just want to change it to everything lowercase, just the name of the star sign. Now, I have already done this. These are my images. So I have my images here. And what I want to do is I want to copy them over to the drawable folder. Which is this one here. So resources drawable. Let's copy that. Yeah, let's do this. I'm not going to move them to, it's going to move them. It's not going to copy them. Okay, and then under drawable, we have each of the different images. Cool thing is they're the format that we get them from. ChatGPT is what Android uses anyway, so we don't have to change anything. So we don't have to change a PNG or JPEG or any of that stuff, which is great. Okay, I'm not showing the images yet. So next thing I want to do is show the images on the detailed screen. So I'm going to ask it to display those. So we go back into our canvas. Display the Zodiac image at the start of Zodiac detail activity. The image name is in the Zodiac signs.json and the image is in the drawer folder. It's going to, it's not going to work first time because the image is just going to be too big, but we'll fix that in a second. Just want to make sure that it works first. So this is the Zodiac detail activity. Get rid of this. And we have a new thing in there, which is Zodiac image. So I have to get my layout file. Sometimes you can just go backwards. Let me try if that's there. No. So the main thing that's changed is we have this image view. So oops, that's not what I want to do. Okay, the image view isn't going to work because I can already tell that it's too big. Okay, so layout, activity, Zodiac detail, just plonk it in there at the start. But I do want to know that it's displaying the images, so that's the most important thing first. Yeah, so Aries is huge, it's way too big, but I know it's being displayed, so almost there. So I'm just going to basically ask it to change the layout, so it's going to make it smaller. Make the image much smaller in activity zodiac detail.xml as I can't see the rest of the text. Push it up to the top of the screen too. I don't think that Canvas is going to look like this. It's just added a width and a height here. I don't think that Canvas is going to look like this when it's finished because it seems to get confused between different images, especially when I'm doing this stuff all the time. Between the different files, excuse me. So I think there's probably going to be another iteration of this before we're finished. But because it produces such good code, I'm more than happy to put up with its idiosyncrasies just to get me to where I need to get to. Okay, so now I have my image, I have my detail. Now really what I'm missing is my daily horoscope. So let's start having a look at that. So what am I going to do? This is outside of Android Studio. So I want to create a REST API to return a daily horoscope using ChatGPT to create the horoscope. And here is the ironies of all ironies, which I'll show you in a second. So this is using Flask, which is great, exactly what I need. And here is where it's actually calling OpenAPI. An irony of all ironies, OpenAI cannot generate OpenAI API code. Basically, what it generates is code that is too old. It's, let me get you in a second. Okay, can you scroll down to your prompt? Yes, I can. Here you go. So I said, create a REST API to return daily horoscope using ChatGPT to create the horoscope. I'll give you all the prompts and everything else later. So I have this file with my prompts. I'll put that in the YouTube when we're finished. So don't worry about it. You'll get all the stuff. So this is kind of weird. So basically this should be chat.completions. Let me show you the actual code. This is in the resources too as well. Okay, so here's the app.py. So this is what it should be. So it's slightly different. So the things that have changed is it's now changed. The new version of the API is OpenAI chat.completions, and then the model is a different model, and then the responses is different. So it's response choices, message content, where the other one was kind of the other version. But it gave me the Flask and everything else, so I'm pretty happy with that to begin with. Okay, so let me do that first. Okay, so I'm going to open up command window. What am I going to call this? Backend. You can't see what I'm typing. So I just started this. I do need that back for a second. Okay, so we are going to create our app.py file. This is our Flask app. So all I'm saying is I'm going to pass in Zodiac sign on the query string. It's going to have a route of daily horoscope, so it's going to be daily horoscope Zodiac sign equals Aries or Taurus or whatever it is. And then our prompt is provide a daily horoscope for Zodiac sign. Our system message is you're an astrologist. And then we pass it in the prompt, and then whatever horoscope it gives us back, we get back in our content. Okay. And then I need a config.py too as well, which is where I put my OpenAI key. So within here, I just have my OpenAI key. The way you get your OpenAI API key is if you go to Playground and then just search on the dashboard, you can find where the API keys are, and then you just generate your own. You put it in there. You call it OpenAI API key, and then config, the library will pull it up. So you're going to have to get this running. You're going to have to pip install Flask, OpenAI. Actually, I gave you it all. So the requirements, OpenAI, config, and Flask. I'm doing this. I copied this from somebody else because I put this up on Glitch. So let's go to my dashboard. So this is my app.py. Essentially what you do on Glitch, it's just a really easy way of hosting a small Flask app or any kind of little server app that you want to do. And then they give you a website that you can hit. And so it will be, I'll show you the second truth, Open Acorn to get there. So now I have my code. Let's see if I can run it locally. I don't know if it's going to run locally, but I'll give it a try. No, it was having issues earlier on today. Come on. So this is going out. Oh, great, it worked. So the horoscope is for Aries in the realm of career and finances. Today is a great day for Aries to take the lead and assert themselves. And then I don't want to be calling it locally because I'm potentially going to sell my app on the App Store. So I basically use Glitch as a way to get it up and running. The only downside of Glitch is I thought you didn't have to pay for it, but it goes to sleep all the time. So you kind of have to pay like $10 a month just to get it running. But honestly, I pointed at my requirements. I give it this little start script that I got from the docs, and then a YAML file, which is just the Swagger file of what it is, which ChatGPT generated for me, and we go from there. Okay, so where are we? Let's go back to where we are in the presentation. So we have our detailed screen. We have our REST API. We have generated that. So we have that working. We've updated the JSON files. We've moved the drawables. We've created the image so it's the right one. We have created our REST API. That's great. We put it up on Glitch, even better. And then what we're going to do now is we're basically going to use OKHTTP. So OKHTTP has been around for quite some time. Yeah, I'm using old stuff. Logic here is there's so much code that this has got from GitHub and elsewhere that I've got to believe that there's tons of OKHTTP library code out there that it can call. So I'm going to just use that to go and call the stuff for me. So we have to update the build.gradle file to add the library as well as to update the Zodiac activity detail because that library doesn't come naturally from in Android Studio. Okay, so let's go back to ChatGPT, to our canvas. And what am I going to ask it to do? What is the next list? I'm going to ask it to say the following. I know what the website is because I created it on Glitch, so I know what it's truth-open. They always give you this weird thing, -acorn, glitch me, and you call it daily horoscope, and then in the query string you have zodiac sign equals Aries or whatever it is. So update zodiac detail activity. So we should get the new code for that. Not the droids I'm looking for. Okay, here we go. Very cool. So it's given me a call function. It's using a request builder. Not what I used before, but let's see if it works. May have to change this, but we'll give it a try. It's all part of the fun. Okay, it's red for OKHTTP all over the place. Okay. So let's ask it, what do I need to do with OKHTTP? What changes do I need to make to the build.gradle file to include the OKHTTP library? So it's telling me I need to include this implementation. It was a Square library back in the day, so we're just going to do that. So we're going to go into there's two build.gradle files. I know it's the app one that we need to update because that's where all the files are. We're going to have to add it here and then sync. Then we should have it. The errors should go away. Okay. Not seeing it. Oh yeah, it's gone. It's not red anymore. It is complaining about the daily horoscope. So what's happened with my daily horoscope? I do not have my daily horoscope, so I'm missing that Zodiac file. Almost there. Okay, and our red's gone. Cool. All right, so if I run this, it's not going to work because I know that we don't have the right permissions in the Android manifest, but let's see how far we get. Yep, so let's look at our logcat. And our logcat tells us permission denied, missing internet permission. Okay, so I know that I need to add it, but I can't really remember how do I do it? What was the command again? So I'm going to ask Canvas to do this for me. How do I add internet permission to an Android app? And it's going to tell me to do the following in my Android manifest. So you can change everything, but really what I want to do is just copy this, which is saying gives the permission for the app to go out to the internet. I know that my manifest is here. I know that the permissions go here, although it actually tells you anyway where it goes. Not convinced this is going to work, but we'll see how far we can get. Code was new. Try a different format. Yay! Whoa, it did. It worked. Okay. Me of little faith. I should just believe. All right. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Finish it off. Okay, so what do we do? So basically updated the Zodiac detail activity to make sure it went out to get the URL. We added the dependency, got the internet permission error, asked it to fix it, told us that we need to put it in the Android manifest file, tells us where to find the Android manifest file and where to put the permission. And then finally we get this working. Okay, so you need to kind of understand what's going on first. I think it should be pretty obvious from what we're doing that if you don't understand how Android fits together, if you haven't built an app or two, this is going to be a hard road for you. But if you've built an app or two, then this is exceptionally good. Great learning experience for if you want to do more complicated things. You can put GitHub Copilot into it, so you can if it doesn't work for you. I know that I haven't really written any code here, but don't feel too bad about using GitHub Copilot to just say fix whatever's broken. There are plugins for Android Studio for GitHub Copilot, works really well. Go for the keep it simple principle, so keep it stupid simple. And then I would recommend adding unit tests because who the hell knows if this code works or not. So it will generate unit tests for you. So it might be a good idea to put in lots of unit tests. And remember, it will never generate the code the same each time. It certainly didn't from what I did this afternoon. So you're going to need to be flexible. Here's some resources. So I just have 3 things. So I have the Zodiac, which is the version of the code that I did this afternoon. I have some information on Canvas, and then I have the backend. The backend, here's the backend horoscope stuff. And then next month, because it's the holidays, I thought I'd use OpenAI to do some board games. So I know I can get it to do chess. I don't know how effectively, but that's going to be part of the fun of doing this. And I'm going to see if I can get it to do backgammon or drafts or checkers or something to see if we can do that way. And maybe Wordle, start off with Wordle and go from there. Okie dokie. So let me just stop sharing and see if people have any questions. Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, just a question regarding Canvas. So you mentioned that it gives you the split pane view where you could see your prompt and what's happening on the same window. Is there any other feature of Canvas or benefit apart from that one?
People use it for all sorts of different things. So it's not just for writing code. So there's people are using it for writing. So apparently it's really good for trying to do different stories. So you can use Canvas on the left and the right, and you can kind of get it to generate a story. And as you go down how you're generating the story, it'll do it for you too as well. I think the interface is kind of a bit lame at the moment. Oh, I see code review. Oh, that's cool. Okay, hold on a second. They just, like, every day there's something else with all this stuff. It's so cool. Just feeds the ADHD, isn't it great? Okay, so if I have a look over here, I'm seeing it will do a code review, it will port to a language, it will fix bugs, it will add logs, and add comments. So that's pretty cool. I'm not a huge fan of it. It seems to get very confused about what code is where. So that's not great. I don't think there's anything up here. No, I think that's it. So yeah, I would say I just like the fact that I'm not a huge fan of when you go into ChatGPT here like this, and you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and if you're doing you're trying to get it to code, it's quite annoying to have to do copy all the time to make sure that you can get the stuff down. This is a better interface for me. But now I've got more stuff to play with because it's got this stuff all over the side. So yeah, I'm gonna be playing with that next. Support to a language, so I can change it to Swift. Okay, I guess I'll do that next, but not this session.
So it is the case that the ChatGPT Canvas can only generate one file at a time?
No, it generates multiple files, but they're overlaid on top of each other. So there's not a good way of getting, so like if I ask it to do, it didn't really do it here, but most of the time it will generate the layout first and then the Kotlin file second, and you can see it generating it. But like there's also sometimes it comes up here and says the differences in code, but it gets confused. So I just think they haven't worked out the kinks yet. I'm sure that at some stage we'll have some sort of a tab across the top which says all the different files. That would just be so stupid simple to do. I'd imagine that's what's coming next.
Is there a limitation of the UI or it's a limitation of ChatGPT?
It's a limitation of their designers.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking like a natural next step would be, give them the instructions, they will automatically generate a package of files.
Yep. Yes, I'm sure that's coming. But again, it's like, I hope that's becoming obvious now, is that even if you generate a package file, if you don't know what you're doing, it might work. And if it doesn't work, you're kind of out of luck trying to figure out how to get it to work, unless you know how to tweak it.
Right. And it's also a pain, like, to explain what's going on inside the package, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's almost like, I like doing it this way because at least you can understand the code. So if you have to fix any bugs, it's much more obvious. But if you're trying to fix bugs from a blind point of view, I think you're going to spend, you almost may as well just write it yourself, depending on the size of it.
Right. Thank you.
Well, I don't have the paid version of ChatGPT, but I asked it to create like a whole Android Studio project and give me a zip file, and actually did give me a zip file. I mean, it didn't work; it was broken. I mean, you could try that with a paid version, and, see what it does. It actually generated some kind of project with all the build Gradle files, and
I would honestly, as yet, I wouldn't trust it. So I think maybe 6 months down the line or a year down the line, I'd have more trust. But from what I've seen, I'm gaming the system by forcing it to do old Android, and it does that well. But if I have heard that it does compose pretty well, but I'm not 100% sure that there's enough code out there yet for it to be able to learn and that sort of stuff. Because all it does is basically it's just spewing out tokens based on the tokens it's been trained on.
Right. So, I mean, it's just something fun to play around with, see what it does.
Yeah, it's great. Well, I will say it fundamentally improves your performance if you take the route like this, as opposed to writing code from scratch. I think if you're writing code from scratch these days, you need to invest in GitHub Copilot at the very least.
So Godfrey, have you run into issues? Because it seemed like the code snippets were only enough that would fit on one screen, which means the context window isn't getting blown out. So if you asked it to do something more complicated, or the files started getting larger, like you said.
But you shouldn't be writing large files anyway. So I'm happy with the code being this size. If a code is a screen, that means that, you know, from a complexity point of view, that kind of makes me feel better. If it's like loads and loads of screens, you know, thousands and thousands of lines, you shouldn't be writing code like that anyway. So yeah, I always break stuff up if you can. So I'm for me, I think it's fine at the moment. And then for you know, if you are having a real world app, I still think that this is definitely a way to go. You know, maybe in a couple of months we should try to do a more complicated app. But I think it's just a good. Well, first of all, I think it's a good way of showing what Canvas can do, and some of its foibles. And also, I think it's a great way to you know, just think about where this future is going. So, where is code generation going? You know, is it going to be within your Android Studio that you just ask it to generate the code? Is it going to be, are you going to be using some brand new interface like this, Canvas, which is then going to be, you know, uploading the code to Docker files or AWS or whatever? I don't know. It's just, I don't know which direction this is going to go to, but the one direction I do know is we are going to be writing less code. This is going to be lots more generated than what we've been used to in, you know, the past, whatever, few years. Cool. Anything else? You want to hang on, Mike, for a second?
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Thanks, guys. So hopefully see you again next week. We're almost 300 members, which is cool, because and the videos will be up on YouTube tomorrow. I'll put up the slides as well.
It's already up on YouTube.
Oh, it is up. Oh, it's already up YouTube. Yeah, that's cool.
We streamed it.
And
I'll
LinkedIn. Put the slides up. How many did we get?
I wasn't watching the numbers. None right now, but they might have tapped out. It was an hour long. So. Yes,
this is the longest one I've done for a while. So thanks for staying with me. Didn't lose anybody. That's amazing. You guys are so cool. All right. Happy Thanksgiving.